I'll never forget the exact moment she spit in my face. Not accidentally, on purpose. Right there in front of everyone. The spit hit my cheek and I just froze. You know that feeling when something so shocking happens that your brain can't even process it? That's what hit me at the Sterling Corp annual gala when Jessica Morgan looked down at me, kneeling, holding a ring, and said the words that would end her career. Are you insane? A janitor proposing to me. You're pathetic, Liam. You're nothing. But here's what nobody in that room knew. Not Jessica. Not the 100 rich people watching this train wreck. Not even the executives standing right there, their mouths hanging open. I wasn't a janitor. I was Liam Sterling, the 32-year-old CEO they'd all been trying to meet, the guy who owned the whole damn company. And I'd spent 3 months pretending to be nobody, mopping floors, eating crap from people like Jessica, just to find out one thing. Would anyone love me without the money? Would anyone choose the real me? Jessica didn't just reject me. She kicked my hand, hard. The ring, a simple silver band I'd bought for $60, went flying across the floor like a coin. Then she grabbed her champagne glass and threw it right in my face. The cold liquid hit me like a slap, dripping down my nose, soaking into my cheap shirt. "Security!" she was screaming now, her face red with anger and embarrassment. "Get this loser out of here before I lose my promotion. How dare you embarrass me like this?" She turned to her bosses, trying to smile. "I'm so sorry. Some people just don't know their place." I stood up, slowly. I wiped the champagne off my face with my sleeve. Then I took off those fake glasses I'd been wearing for 3 months, the final piece of my disguise, and let them fall to the floor. I felt my whole body change. My back straightened. My shoulders went back. I wasn't the scared janitor anymore. The security guards saw it first. Their eyes went wide and they backed away from me like I was on fire. Jessica was still talking to the investors, her back turned to me, when I walked right past everyone and climbed onto the stage. I grabbed the microphone. The feedback screech made everyone stop and stare, and that's when I said it, the words that would ruin her life. "You know what, Jessica? You're right. Losers don't belong in this company. So as the CEO and owner of Sterling Corp, you're fired." Let me take you back 3 months before that night, back when I was still stupid enough to believe someone could love me for me. I was sitting in my penthouse office, the one on the 42nd floor with windows so big you could see the whole city, signing a contract worth $2 billion. Just another Tuesday, right? But I felt empty, hollow, like I was signing my life away one deal at a time. Every woman I dated in the past 5 years, they all had the same look in their eyes when they saw my bank account. That hungry, calculating look. Like I wasn't a person, I was a lottery ticket they'd just won. I threw my pen across the desk and it hit the window with a pathetic little tap. My assistant, Marcus, poked his head in. "You good, boss?" I wasn't good. I was 32 years old, running a Fortune 500 company, and I'd never had a real conversation with someone who didn't want something from me. So I did something crazy. I told Marcus I was taking a sabbatical. 3 months. Nobody could know where I was or what I was doing. Then I went to a thrift store in the bad part of town, bought clothes that smelled like mothballs and regret, got some fake glasses from a costume shop, and became somebody else. Not Liam Sterling, billionaire CEO, just Liam, a guy who worked in shipping and receiving, making $15 an hour, driving a beat-up 2005 Honda Civic I bought off Craigslist for $800. My plan was simple. Go to normal places, coffee shops, diners, laundromats, meet normal people, find someone who'd fall for the guy, not the bank account. And that's exactly where I met her. Jessica Morgan. She was sitting in this little diner called Rosie's, the kind with cracked vinyl seats and coffee that tastes like battery acid. She was crying into her phone, mascara running down her face. And when she hung up, she just looked at me. "Sorry," she said, wiping her eyes. "Bad day at work." I sat down across from her without even thinking. "Want to talk about it?" She smiled. And God, that smile could light up a room. My boss is a nightmare. I work at Sterling Corp and the pressure is insane, but one day I'm going to run that place. I felt my heart do this stupid little flip. Sterling Corp, my company. It felt like fate, you know, like the universe was telling me something. She started talking about her dreams, her ambitions, how hard she worked to climb the ladder. She seemed real, sweet, a little rough around the edges, but genuine. When I told her I worked in logistics, technically not a lie, she didn't flinch. She didn't ask how much I made. She just asked if I liked my job. For the first time in years, I felt like maybe, just maybe, I'd found something real. So I asked for her number. She gave it to me. And just like that, I walked into the trap I'd set for myself. The first month with Jessica was perfect. Too perfect. We'd meet after her work at Sterling Corp. Ironic, right? And grab cheap takeout. She'd laugh at my jokes, hold my hand in the movie theater, kiss me goodnight like she meant it. I started thinking maybe I'd gotten lucky. Maybe I'd actually found the one person in this whole city who could love someone without a trust fund. But then, slowly, things started to change. Little comments here and there. Liam, when are you going to get a better car? This thing smells like old French fries. Or, maybe you should ask your boss for a raise. I mean, how long have you been stuck in that dead-end job? The comments got meaner, sharper. One night I picked her up for dinner and she took one look at my outfit, jeans and a button-down I'd actually thought looked decent, and laughed. Not a cute laugh. A cruel one. You're wearing that? Babe, I made reservations at Mikado and that's a nice place. Can't you at least try to look like you belong there? I felt something twist in my gut, but I swallowed it down. Maybe she was just stressed. Maybe this was normal couple stuff and I was overreacting because I'd spent so long isolated in my billionaire bubble. So I changed clothes, put on the one-waist nicest shirt I'd bought for this disguise. And when we got to the restaurant, she made me wait in the car. Look, they have a dress code and you don't have a blazer, she said, not even looking at me. I'll just tell them you couldn't make it. I need to network anyway. There are investors in there. She slammed the car door and walked in without looking back. I sat there in that parking lot for 2 hours. 2 hours. Watching her through the window, laughing and flirting with men in $1,000 suits. Men who worked for me, by the way, though she didn't know that. My phone buzzed once. Taking an Uber home. Don't wait up. That was it. No apology, no explanation, just gone. It became a pattern. She'd invite me out, then ditch me the second someone so important showed up. At bars, she'd walk past the velvet rope into the VIP section and leave me standing on the sidewalk like a lost puppy. You don't have the right shoes, babe. Just grab a drink at the regular bar. I'll text you when I'm done. One time, I swear to God, this actually happened. She introduced me to her co-workers as her friend. Not boyfriend, friend. When I brought it up later, she rolled her eyes. Liam, don't be so sensitive. I can't tell my colleagues I'm dating someone in shipping. Do you know how that would look? The worst part. I let it happen. I told myself I was learning something valuable, that this was all research into human nature or whatever bullshit excuse I could come up with. But the truth was simpler and more pathetic. Part of me wanted to see how far she'd go, how low she'd sink. Because if she failed this test, if she proved to be exactly like all the other gold diggers I'd dated, then at least I'd know for sure that real love didn't exist. At least I could stop hoping. But there were moments, tiny moments, where I'd catch her looking at me with something that seemed like genuine affection, like when I brought her soup when she was sick, or when I listened to her vent about her nightmare boss for 3 hours straight. In those moments, I'd think, maybe she does care. Maybe the mean stuff is just her defense mechanism. Maybe underneath all that ambition and cruelty, there's a good person who's just been hurt before. I held on to those moments like a lifeline, like an idiot. Then came the night that should have been my wake-up call. We were at her apartment and she was getting ready for some work event. I was sitting on her couch, scrolling through my phone, when she came out of the bedroom in a tight black dress that probably cost more than my monthly salary. She looked stunning. I told her so. And you know what she said? "Thanks. Too bad you can't come with me. The CEO is supposed to make an appearance tonight and I need to look available." Available. That was the word she used. I felt something inside me crack, just a little. "Jessica, we're dating, right?" "Like, officially?" She applied lipstick in the mirror without even glancing at me. "Sure, babe. But let's be realistic. You're a placeholder until I find someone on my level. Nothing personal. You're sweet. But I have goals." 2 months into this nightmare, Jessica got news that changed everything. She burst into my apartment, the crappy studio I'd rented for this whole charade, waving her phone like she'd won the lottery. "Liam." Oh my God, Liam. She was practically bouncing. "There's an opening for regional director at Sterling Corp. This is it. This is my shot." I was happy for her. I really was. Until she said the next part. The new CEO is going to personally choose the candidate. And get this. Word around the office is he's young, like our age and single. The way she said single made my stomach turn. She had this look in her eyes, that hungry, calculating look I knew too well. "So you're going for the promotion based on merit, right?" I asked, trying to keep my voice casual. She laughed, actually laughed. "Liam, come on, don't be naive. Nobody gets ahead on merit alone. You have to play the game, network, make connections, show the right people you're valuable." She sat down next to me on the couch, but she wasn't really looking at me. She was looking through me, at something I couldn't see. "This CEO guy, Sterling, apparently he's some genius who took over the company at 30. Can you imagine the kind of power he has? The kind of life he lives?" Oh, I could imagine it pretty well, actually. The next few weeks were torture. Jessica became obsessed. She'd show up to our dates talking nonstop about her strategy to accidentally bump into the CEO. She bought new outfits, expensive ones that I knew stretched her credit cards thin. She got her hair done at some fancy salon, started working out twice a day, and the whole time, she was treating me like I was invisible, like I was just some background character in the story of her rise to power. One night, we were supposed to have dinner at my place. She canceled an hour before, texting, "Sorry, the CFO invited me to drinks. This could be my rain check." The CFO, Thomas Rodriguez, a guy who reported directly to me and definitely knew better than to date an employee. But I let it slide. I wanted to see how far this would go. I started showing up at the office more. Not as CEO, I was still playing janitor, but I'd take shifts in the evening, mopping floors, emptying trash cans, watching. And what I saw made me sick. Jessica wasn't just networking. She was flirting, aggressively. I watched her corner Thomas in the break room, touching his arm, laughing at jokes that weren't funny, leaning in way too close. I watched her do the same thing to David Chen, the VP of Operations, and Marcus, my own assistant, who knew exactly who I was, just gave me these pity looks from across the room while I dumped trash and pretended not to notice my girlfriend throwing herself at my employees. But the worst part wasn't the flirting. It was how she treated the people beneath her. I was emptying a trash can outside the conference room one day when I heard her voice, sharp and nasty. "Are you stupid? I asked for these reports an hour ago. Do you know what happens to assistants who can't follow simple instructions? They get fired." I peeked through the door window. She was standing over this kid, couldn't have been more than 22, who looked like he was about to cry. "I'm sorry, Miss Morgan. I was helping Mr. Chen with..." "I don't care what you were doing. When I give you an order, you follow it. Now get out of my sight." The kid practically ran out of the room. Jessica straightened her blazer and smiled, like nothing had happened. That night, I tried to talk to her about it. We were at her apartment, and I brought it up casually. "So, How was work? You seemed stressed. She was painting her nails, barely paying attention. Oh, just dealing with incompetent people all day. Sometimes I think I'm the only one at that company who actually cares about results. I took a breath. Don't you think maybe, I don't know, kindness matters too? Like treating people with respect. She looked up at me like I'd just suggested we move to Mars. Liam, respect is earned. You don't get respect by being nice. You get it by being powerful. By being someone people are afraid to cross. I gave her one more chance. One last shot to show me she had a soul under all that ambition. What if you could have success without stepping on people? What if integrity mattered more than a title? Jessica put down her nail polish and stared at me, really stared at me. And then she said the words that made my decision for me. Integrity is for people who can't afford ambition. It's for losers like you who've never had a real shot at anything big. I'm not going to be poor and powerless just to be nice. I'm going to be rich and important. And if people get hurt along the way, that's not my problem. She went back to her nails like she'd just commented on the weather. And right then, in that moment, I knew exactly what I was going to do. The invitation arrived on a Wednesday. The Sterling Corp annual gala, black tie, open bar. The event where I, as CEO, was supposed to finally reveal myself to the company. I'd been dodging it for months, sending excuses through Marcus, but the board had insisted this was the year. The employees need to see their leader, they'd said. It's good for morale. If only they knew their leader had been scrubbing toilets and watching his girlfriend destroy people's lives for the past 3 months. Jessica got her invitation at work and called me immediately. I was in my studio apartment, staring at my own invitation, when her name lit up my phone. Liam, oh my God, I got invited to the gala. Her voice was so high-pitched I had to pull the phone away from my ear. This is it. This is where I meet him, the CEO. He's definitely going to be there. Everyone's talking about it. I felt this weird calm wash over me, like the universe was lining everything up perfectly. That's great, Jess. So, should I rent a tux? We can go together. The silence on the other end lasted about 3 seconds too long. About that. Here it comes, I thought. I think it's better if I go solo to this one. Solo. I repeated the word like I didn't understand it, even though I understood it perfectly. Yeah, look, this is a work thing, a really important work thing, and I need to make the right impression. If I show up with a boyfriend, especially one who's not, in the industry, it sends the wrong message. The wrong message, like I was a stain on her designer dress. What message would that be, exactly? I asked, keeping my voice level. She sighed, annoyed that she had to explain this to me. That I'm taken, that I'm not available. Liam, the CEO is single. I need him to see me as an option. An option. My girlfriend of 3 months just told me she needed another man to see her as an option. And she said it like it was the most reasonable thing in the world. So you're going to this event to, what? Seduce your boss? Don't be dramatic. I'm going to network, to position myself strategically. And I can't do that with you hanging around looking like you bought your suit at a funeral home clearance sale. That one actually stung a little. Not because it wasn't true. The suit I'd bought for this disguise did look pretty rough. But because of how easily she said it. How little she cared that her words were knives. Stay home, Liam. Order a pizza. Play your video games. I'll text you when it's over. She hung up before I could respond. I sat there on my bed, the mattress I'd bought from IKEA that squeaked every time I moved. And I made a decision. I was done testing. Done experimenting. Done pretending to be someone I wasn't just to find something that clearly didn't exist. But I wasn't going to just break up with her over text like a coward. No. I was going to give her one final chance. One last opportunity to choose love over ambition, to choose the man over the money, even though I already knew what she'd choose. I went to a pawn shop downtown and bought a ring. Nothing fancy, just a simple silver band with a tiny diamond that probably came from someone else's failed marriage. It cost me $62. I remember the exact amount because the guy behind the counter looked at me with pity, like he knew I was about to make a huge mistake. "You sure about this, kid?" he asked. I wasn't sure about anything anymore, but I needed to know. I needed to see, with absolute certainty, what Jessica would do when faced with a choice between a poor man's love and a rich man's attention. So I pocketed the ring and went home to dig out my worst suit, the polyester nightmare I'd bought at Goodwill for this whole charade. The night of the gala, I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself. Cheap suit, fake glasses, scuffed shoes I'd found at a thrift store. I looked like a guy who'd gotten lost on his way to a job interview at a call center. Perfect. I grabbed the ring box, felt its weight in my pocket, and headed out the door. Marcus had texted me 3 times. "Boss, please tell me you're not doing what I think you're doing." But I was. I was absolutely doing it. Because sometimes you need to burn everything down to see what's real. And I was about to light the match. The Sterling Corp Gala was everything you'd expect from a company with too much money and not enough taste. Crystal chandeliers the size of cars, ice sculptures shaped like our logo, a champagne fountain that probably cost more than most people's yearly salary. I walked through the front doors and immediately felt every eye in the room slide past me like I was furniture. Nobody noticed the janitor in the cheap suit. Why would they? I grabbed a glass of champagne from a passing waiter, who looked at me like I might steal the silverware, and started scanning the crowd for Jessica. I found her near the center of the ballroom, and honestly, she looked incredible. Red dress, hair pulled back, diamond earrings she'd probably maxed out her credit card to buy. She was in full predator mode, circling a group of executives like a shark smelling blood. I recognized them all. Thomas Rodriguez, the CFO. David Chen, VP of Operations. Margaret Wells, Head of International. All of them reporting to me. All of them watching Jessica with various degrees of interest and discomfort. She was laughing at something Thomas said, touching his arm, leaning in close. The whole performance made me want to throw up. Thomas saw me first. His face went white, like ghost white. He literally choked on his drink and started coughing so hard that David had to slap him on the back. "You okay, man?" David asked. Thomas couldn't speak. He was just staring at me, his eyes bugging out, probably thinking his career was about to end because he'd been flirting with the CEO's girlfriend. I caught his eye and gave him a tiny shake of my head. "Not yet. Don't blow this yet." He got the message and turned away, but I could see his hand shaking as he set down his drink. Jessica noticed the commotion and followed Thomas's gaze. When she saw me, her whole face changed. The smile disappeared. Her eyes went hard and cold. She said something quick to the executives, probably an excuse, and then she was marching toward me, her heels clicking on the marble floor like gunshots. Oh, she was mad. Furious, actually. She grabbed my arm so hard her nails dug into my skin and dragged me toward a corner near the coat check, away from the crowd. "It's what the hell are you doing here?" She wasn't even trying to whisper. "I specifically told you not to come." "I wanted to surprise you," I said, keeping my voice soft and a little sad. Playing the part one last time. "It's a special night. I thought we could—" "You thought wrong." She cut me off, her voice sharp enough to draw blood. "Look at you. Look at this suit. Do you have any idea how embarrassing this is for me? I've spent months building relationships with these people and you just show up looking like a homeless person who wandered in off the street." A couple near us glanced over. Jessica lowered her voice, but the anger was still there, simmering just below the surface. "I am this close to meeting the CEO, this close to changing my entire life, and you're going to ruin it because you can't handle being alone for one night." I looked at her, really looked at her, And I felt nothing, no anger, no sadness, just this cold, clear certainty that I'd been right all along. There was no love here. There never had been. Jessica, I need to ask you something. I reached into my pocket and felt the ring box. Her eyes followed my hand, and I saw confusion flash across her face. Liam, what are you? Just give me 1 minute, please. I could see her calculating, weighing her options. She glanced back at the executives, then at me, and I could practically see the thoughts running through her head. Get rid of him fast. Make a scene if you have to. Just get him out of here so you can get back to the important people. Fine, she said through clenched teeth. 1 minute, then you leave. Deal? I didn't answer. Instead, I stepped back into the main ballroom, pulling her with me. She resisted at first, trying to dig her heels in, but I kept walking until we were right in the center of the room, under the biggest chandelier, where everyone could see us. Liam, what are you doing? Her voice had panic in it now. People were starting to notice, starting to turn and stare. I could feel the weight of 100 eyes on us. And somewhere in the back of my mind, I heard a voice, my voice, saying, "This is it. This is the moment where you find out if anything in this world is real." I dropped to one knee right there in the middle of the ballroom. The music didn't stop, not yet, but conversations did. One by one, people turned to look at us. Jessica's face went through about 5 different emotions in 2 seconds. Confusion, shock, horror, and then pure rage. "Liam, get up," she hissed, trying to smile at the people watching us. "Get up right now." But I didn't get up. I pulled out that little ring box from my pocket, opened it, and looked up at her. My heart was pounding so hard I could feel it in my throat. This was it. The final test. The last chance for her to prove me wrong about everything. "Jessica Morgan," I said, loud enough for people nearby to hear. "I know I don't have much. I know I'm just a guy who works in shipping. I know I drive a car that's older than some of these people's kids." A few uncomfortable laughs rippled through the crowd. Jessica's smile was frozen on her face like a mask. "But I love you, and I want to spend the rest of my life making you happy. Will you marry me?" The silence that followed was deafening. You could have heard a pin drop on that marble floor. Everyone was watching, waiting. Even the quartet in the corner had stopped playing. Time seemed to stretch out like taffy. And for one crazy second, I actually wondered if maybe, just maybe, she'd surprise me. She didn't surprise me. "Are you out of your mind?" Her voice was shrill, echoing off the high ceilings. All pretense of politeness was gone now. She was shaking, literally trembling with rage and humiliation. "A janitor? You work in the basement sorting boxes and you think you can propose to me? Here? In front of everyone?" She looked around at the crowd, at all the executives and investors watching this train wreck, and I could see her dying inside. This was her nightmare, being associated with someone like me in front of the people she wanted to impress. "I'm not a janitor. I work in... I don't care what department you're in. You're nothing. You're a loser who drives a piece of crap car and lives in a studio apartment that smells like old takeout." She kicked my hand, hard. The ring box went flying, skittering across the floor like a hockey puck. Someone gasped. The ring itself, that pathetic little $60 symbol of everything I'd hoped to find, rolled under a table and disappeared. Jessica wasn't done. Oh no, she was just getting started. She grabbed her champagne glass from a nearby table, and I saw what was about to happen before it happened. "You want to embarrass me? Fine, let me return the favor." She threw the champagne right in my face. The cold liquid hit me like a slap, running down my nose, dripping off my chin, soaking into my cheap suit. The whole room gasped. I just knelt there, champagne dripping off me, looking up at the woman I'd spent 3 months trying to love. "You're pathetic," she said, her voice carrying across the silent ballroom. You're a nobody who will always be a nobody. Did you really think I could love someone like you? Did you think I'd throw away my future for some guy who can't even afford a decent suit?" She turned to the security guard standing near the wall. "Get him out of here, now, before he ruins my entire career." Her voice cracked on that last word. I could see tears in her eyes, but they weren't tears of sadness. They were tears of rage and embarrassment. She spun back to face the executives, trying desperately to salvage the situation. "I'm so sorry you all had to witness this. I had no idea he was going to. I would never. Please, this doesn't represent who I am." But the executives weren't looking at her anymore. They were looking at the security guards, who weren't moving, who were standing completely still, their faces pale, their eyes wide with something that looked a lot like fear. I stood up slowly, wiped the champagne off my face with the back of my hand, and then I did something I hadn't done in 3 months. I took off those fake glasses, the cheap ones from the costume shop that had been digging into my nose this whole time, and let them drop to the floor. They hit the marble with a tiny plastic crack. I rolled my shoulders back, straightened my spine, let all the slouching, the hunching, the careful performance of being small just fall away. Jessica was still talking to the executives, her back to me, desperately trying to explain away what had just happened. She didn't even notice when I walked past the frozen security guards and climbed the 3 steps onto the stage. The microphone screeched when I pulled it from the stand. That got everyone's attention. The whole room turned to look at me, this wet, pathetic man in a terrible suit standing on stage like he owned the place. Which, of course, I did. Jessica finally turned around, saw me up there. Her face went from confused to annoyed in a heartbeat. "What do you get down from there?" But I didn't get down. I looked out at all those faces, all those people I'd been watching for 3 months from the shadows, all those executives who knew exactly who I was and were currently looking like they wanted to disappear into the floor. And I smiled. Not a nice smile, not a friendly smile. The kind of smile a shark makes before it bites. "Ladies and gentlemen," I said into the microphone, my voice carrying across the silent ballroom. "I apologize for the interruption, and I especially apologize for the suit." A nervous laugh rippled through the crowd. Jessica was staring at me from below the stage, her face twisted in confusion and anger. She mouthed the words, "Get down," but I ignored her. See, I've been conducting a little experiment for the past 3 months. A character study, if you will. I wanted to know what people are really like when they think you're nobody. When they think you have no power, no money, no influence. I let that hang in the air for a moment. I could see people starting to put the pieces together. Thomas looked like he might pass out. David had his hand over his mouth. Margaret was already backing toward the exit. I pretended to be a warehouse worker, minimum wage, beat-up car, cheap apartment, the whole package. And I watched. I listened. I learned a lot about the kind of people who work at this company. I looked directly at Jessica now. She was still confused, but something was starting to dawn on her. Something terrible. I learned that some people will step on anyone to get ahead. That some people see kindness as weakness. That some people value a promotion more than they value human decency. My voice got harder, colder, and I learned that some people will spit on a man when he's on his knees, offering them his heart. Jessica's face went white, not pale. White, like all the blood had drained out of her body at once. "Liam." Her voice was tiny, scared. "Hi, what are you talking about?" I set down the microphone for a second and walked to the edge of the stage. Looked down at her. Let her see my face without the glasses, without the slouch, without the mask I'd been wearing. "My name is Liam Sterling," I said quietly, but the microphone still picked it up. The words echoed through the room like a gunshot. "I own this company. I'm the CEO you've been trying so hard to impress for the past 2 months." The reaction was immediate. People started whispering, gasping. Jessica stumbled backward like I'd punched her. She grabbed onto a chair to keep from falling. "No," she said. "No, that's not. You can't be. I'm 32 years old. I took over Sterling Corp from my father 18 months ago. I've been sitting in the penthouse office signing billion-dollar deals while you've been telling me I'm a loser who'll never amount to anything." I picked the microphone back up, addressed the room again. For 3 months, I watched Jessica Morgan climb over people like they were furniture. I watched her bully assistants, flirt with married executives, treat anyone below her like trash, all while dating me, someone she thought was beneath her. Jessica found her voice. "On Liam, baby, I didn't know. You lied to me. You tricked me." Her voice was desperate now, pleading. "If I had known who you really were, I would never have—" "Exactly," I cut her off. "If you had known, that's the whole point, Jessica. You treated me like garbage because you thought you could, because you thought I didn't matter. Well, guess what? I matter very much, especially to your career." I could see her brain working. Could see her trying to find a way out of this. Some angle she could play. Some card she could pull that would save her. I turned to Marcus, who was standing off to the side looking both horrified and impressed. "Marcus, do we still have those HR reports I asked you to compile?" Marcus nodded and hurried forward with a tablet. I pulled up the files, and they appeared on the big screen behind me. Emails, text messages, testimonials from assistants and junior employees, all detailing Jessica's behavior over the past year, the bullying, the manipulation, the cruelty. "This is what I found when I started digging," I said. "Turns out, Jessica's been creating a hostile work environment for months, maybe longer. I witnessed a lot of it myself while I was playing Janitor. The rest came from people who were too afraid to speak up because Jessica had convinced them she was untouchable." The room was dead silent now. All eyes were on Jessica. She looked at the screen, at her own words displayed for everyone to see, and something broke in her. She started crying, real tears this time, not the manipulative kind she'd used on me before. "Please," she said. "Please, Liam. I'm sorry. I was wrong. I was so wrong. But you lied to me first. You pretended to be someone else." "I pretended to be poor," I said. "You pretended to be a good person. One of those is worse, Jessica. And it's not mine." I looked out at the crowd, at all the employees who'd been watching this soap opera unfold. Jessica Morgan is terminated effective immediately, for cause, which means no severance, no references, and I'll be personally ensuring that every partner company we work with knows exactly why she was let go. Jessica's knees buckled. She actually fell to the floor, her red dress pooling around her like blood. "No, no, please, you can't do this. This is my career. This is my life. You should have thought about that before you spit in my face," I said simply. Then I turned to the security guards. "Gentlemen, please escort Ms. Morgan from the premises. Make sure she returns her badge and any company property." The security guards moved forward, and Jessica scrambled to her feet. She wasn't dignified anymore, wasn't polished. All that carefully constructed persona had crumbled like a sandcastle in a hurricane. "Liam, wait, please!" She tried to run toward the stage, but one of the guards, Mike, a guy who'd seen her yell at him a dozen times, gently blocked her path. "Liam, I love you. I swear I love you. This was all it was a test. Yeah, a test for you. I was testing to see if you'd stay with me even when things got hard." The desperation in her voice would have been sad if it wasn't so pathetic. People in the crowd were looking away now, embarrassed for her. "A test," I repeated, my voice flat. "You were testing me by spitting in my face." I was surprised. I panicked, but deep down, I always knew there was something special about you. I felt it from the beginning. She was grasping at straws now, saying anything that might work. "Remember when we met at Rosie's? That connection we had? That was real, Liam. That was real." I almost laughed. Almost, Jessica. The only thing that was real was your ambition. And you know what? I actually respect that. Ambition isn't a bad thing, but you used it as an excuse to be cruel, to step on people, to treat human beings like they were obstacles in your path. That's what's unforgivable. The guard started moving her toward the exit. She was crying so hard now that her mascara was running down her face in black rivers. You can't do this. I'll sue you. I'll tell everyone you manipulated me. You lied to me first. Go ahead, I said calmly. Tell them. Tell everyone that the CEO of a Fortune 500 company pretended to be poor to find genuine love, and you failed the test so spectacularly that you physically assaulted him when he proposed. I'm sure that'll work out great for you. Her face crumbled. She knew she had nothing, no leverage, no angle, nothing but the consequences of her own choices. As they reached the doors, she turned back one last time. I could have loved you, she screamed. If you just told me the truth, I could have loved you. The whole room heard it. The whole room understood what she was really saying. I could have loved your money. I could have loved your power. I could have loved what you could give me, but I could never love you. The guards escorted her through the doors and they closed behind her with a soft click. Just like that, she was gone. The room stayed silent for a few more seconds, everyone processing what they'd just witnessed. Then someone started clapping. Just one person at first, then another. Then the whole room erupted in applause. I held up my hand and they stopped. Don't applaud me. I'm not a hero. I'm just a guy who got tired of being treated like he didn't matter. I looked around the room, at all the faces watching me, some shocked, some impressed, some probably wondering if I was going to fire them next. But let this be a lesson to everyone here. How you treat people when you think they can't do anything for you, that's who you really are. And I'll be watching, not from the shadows this time, but I'll be watching. I set the microphone back on the stand and walked off the stage. The crowd parted for me like the Red Sea. Marcus met me at the bar. He handed me a whiskey without a word. I downed it in one gulp and immediately regretted it because it burned like hell. Boss, he said quietly. That was... I don't even have words. Stupid, I offered. I was going to say legendary, but sure, we can go with stupid too. He poured me another drink. So what now? I looked back at the crowd. They were already talking amongst themselves, probably spreading the story to everyone who'd missed it. By tomorrow morning, this would be all over social media. By tomorrow afternoon, Jessica's name would be synonymous with career suicide. And me, I'd be the eccentric billionaire who went undercover in his own company. Great. Now, I said, picking up the second whiskey. Now I stop looking for something that doesn't exist. Real love, genuine connection, all that fairy tale nonsense. I took a sip this time instead of downing it. People want what you can give them, Marcus. That's just how it works. The sooner I accept that, the better. Marcus looked at me for a long moment. Then he shook his head. I don't believe that. And I don't think you do either. I think you're hurt and angry, and you have every right to be. But don't let one terrible person convince you that everyone's terrible. I wanted to argue with him, wanted to tell him he was wrong, but I was too tired, too emotionally drained. So I just raised my glass. To honesty, I said, even when it hurts. Marcus clinked his glass against mine. To honesty. 3 days later, I was sitting in my real office, the penthouse one with the floor-to-ceiling windows, staring at that little ring box. I'd had someone retrieve it from under the table at the gala. $62. Such a small amount of money to represent such a massive mistake. I opened the box one last time, looked at that tiny diamond catching the morning light, and then I threw the whole thing in the trash. It hit the bottom of the can with a hollow thunk. And you know what? I felt nothing. No sadness, no regret. Just relief. Like I'd finally let go of something heavy I'd been carrying for way too long. My phone had been blowing up since the gala. News outlets wanted interviews. LinkedIn was going crazy with think pieces about workplace ethics and dating in the corporate world. Jessica had apparently tried to spin the story on social media, claiming I'd manipulated her, that she was the real victim, but nobody was buying it. Not when there was video. Not when there were dozens of employees ready to share their own stories about how she'd treated them. Her career wasn't just over. It was burned to the ground with salt poured on the ashes. And the craziest part, I didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel victorious. I just felt tired. Marcus knocked on my door and poked his head in. Board meeting in 10 minutes. They want to discuss the incident. I sighed. Of course they did. Tell them I'll be there in 5. He started to leave, then stopped. For what it's worth, boss. She didn't deserve you. Not the real you. Not even the fake you. I smiled despite myself. Thanks, Marcus. When he left, I stood up and walked to the window, looked out at the city below. Millions of people down there, all living their own lives, fighting their own battles. And somewhere out there, Jessica was probably in her apartment, staring at her phone, watching her entire world collapse. Part of me, a very small part, almost felt sorry for her. Almost. She wanted a man with success. She wanted power and money and status. And she had one. She was dating him the whole time. But she couldn't see it because she was too busy looking at the wrapping instead of what was inside. That was her mistake. Her failure. Not mine. The money can buy you a lot of things. Private jets, penthouses, cars that cost more than houses. But it can't buy character. It can't buy integrity. And it sure as hell can't buy the ability to see what's valuable when it's standing right in front of you. Jessica learned that lesson the hard way. And honestly, I'm glad she did. But here's what I learned. Some people will show you exactly who they are if you just give them the chance. Some people will fail every test you give them and then blame you for testing them in the first place. And some people will take something you paid for, something you built, something that should have been yours, and they'll give it away to someone else just because they think that person needs it more. Which brings me to the next story. Because if you think what happened to me was bad, wait until you hear about the woman who paid her parents a mortgage for 5 years straight, who kept them from losing their house, who sacrificed her own savings to keep a roof over their heads, only to come home one day and find out they'd signed the deed over to her unemployed sister. Just gave it away. Like those 5 years of payments meant nothing. Like her sacrifice was invisible. But what the sister did 30 days later, that's when things got interesting. That's when karma showed up with receipts. And trust me, you're going to want to see how this ends.